Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Into the Paradox. Today we're diving deep into a question that's been weighing heavily on many minds. Are we heading into a dystopia, or are we experiencing a necessary, albeit turbulent, digital reset? To help us navigate these complex waters, I'm joined by our esteemed panel, Murad, an insightful investor and financial advisor, Anastasia, a keen researcher in global trends, and Tom, our specialist in occults and crime, always ready to unearth hidden patterns. Murad, you've recently shared a fascinating framework for understanding global markets, starting with trends. Could you kick us off by outlining your core perspective?
Thanks, Peter. Absolutely. My belief is that to be a successful investor, you really need to understand the global trends. Why? Because these trends drive emotions, and emotions drive behavior. If we can grasp the trends, we can hypothesize about future behavior, which then helps us choose the right asset classes and ultimately the right assets. I'm focusing heavily on crypto in this space, and I believe we're entering an era of participatory investing, where people don't just hold assets, they contribute to their success. Today, I want to zero in on the foundation of this, understanding the defining global trends. Are they tailwinds or headwinds?
That's a fantastic starting point, Murad. Recognizing whether a trend is peaking or persisting is crucial. It's not just about investing, it's about societal resilience. If we can anticipate the shifts, we can adapt, innovate, and perhaps even steer them in a more positive direction.
Or perhaps, Peter, it's about recognizing the currents that are already dragging us under and seeing who benefits from them. Trends can be manipulated, and the emotions they evoke can be weaponized. I'm less interested in tailwinds and more in the hidden hands guiding the ship.
Intriguing, Tom. Murad, you've identified numerous trends. Let's start with perhaps the most pervasive, AI and automation. You suggest it's coming for millions of jobs and impacting youth unemployment disproportionately. How dire is this outlook?
It's significant. AI is rapidly improving in nearly every domain, even software engineering and scientific research. We're talking about tens, if not hundreds of millions of jobs at risk in the next decade. What's worse is that youth unemployment is already higher than overall unemployment globally in the US, China, Europe. If weak AGI and automation hit, that issue becomes profoundly more pronounced, especially when coupled with slower economic growth than previous generations experienced.
The economic growth stagnation is a critical backdrop here. Our parents and grandparents lived in an era of 5-6% growth. We're looking at 2%. That fundamentally changes life trajectories. But with AI, while job displacement is a genuine concern, it also presents opportunities for new industries, new types of work, and hopefully a re-evaluation of what work means in society. The question is, how do we manage that transition equitably?
Equitably, come on. Historically, technological leaps have always created new hierarchies. AI won't be different. It's a tool, yes, but who wields it? Who controls the algorithms that define our culture, our choices, our access to resources? It's not just about job loss, it's about control of information and, ultimately, consciousness.
That brings us neatly to the economic undercurrents you've highlighted, Murad. Rising government deficits, global debt, and an ever-growing money supply. How do these factors intertwine with what Tom just mentioned about control and the distribution of wealth?
They're deeply intertwined. Deficits, debt, and money supply growth are global phenomena. China's M2 money supply, for instance, is double that of the US. This constant printing, I believe, is a major contributor to the next trend, escalating income and wealth inequality. This is, in my opinion, the single most acute issue for the next 20 years. Wealth of the bottom 90% is down over the last 30 years, while the top 1% owns more than half of all stocks. The ultra-wealthy have almost tripled their wealth, while the bottom 40% have actually become poor. This isn't just a Western issue, it's amplified in second and third world countries.
The Great Gatsby levels of inequality are truly alarming. It fosters resentment, erodes social cohesion, and makes breaking into the middle class increasingly difficult. From a global trends perspective, this kind of disparity often precedes periods of significant social unrest or political upheaval. It's not sustainable.
Unrest is precisely what you get when a system is designed to funnel wealth upwards. The money printer isn't accidental, nor is the hyper-financialization Murad talks about. When Wall Street's gains outpace Main Street's wages by such a staggering margin, it's not just a flaw, it's a feature. It commoditizes everything, even our homes, turning them into assets for global capital, not shelters for families. It's a deliberate devaluing of labor for the benefit of capital.
So, if this wealth consolidation is happening, it inevitably leads to inflation, which, Murad, you've also flagged as a major trend. Not just monetary inflation, but shrinkflation, and what you call refinement culture. What are the implications of things getting smaller, more expensive, and increasingly homogeneous?
Right. Inflation is no longer a temporary blip. We're likely in a more inflationary world. And beyond official statistics, which many believe are understated, we have shrinkflation, less product for more money. But refinement culture is fascinating. The homogenization Spontaneity in design, architecture, even people's looks and personalities is striking. Algorithms are optimizing for the lowest common denominator, pushing us towards this soulless uniformity because it's efficient for corporations. It makes things easier to resell, like private equity loves to do.
I see the refinement culture as a symptom of a deeper issue, the algorithmic shaping of our reality. When social media and corporate interests dictate cultural trends, authenticity suffers. People start mimicking what's optimized for engagement, losing their individuality. It's a subtle but profound form of social control, blurring the lines between personal preference and algorithmic suggestion.
Soulless uniformity, that's a good phrase. It's the flattening of human experience, reducing us to predictable data points. The brutalist architecture, the blandness. It's not just about resale, it's about breaking down any sense of place, tradition, or unique identity. It's easier to manage a populace that is generic, without deep roots or strong, individual expression. This is psychological conditioning on a massive scale.
And this flattening, as you call it, Tom, coupled with rising prices for essentials like food and housing, leads Murad to a provocative point. That for many, especially young people, life is becoming harder than for previous generations. Murad, you mentioned the American dream being out of reach and the relative social standing argument. Could you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. Home prices are skyrocketing globally, while wages have largely stagnated for decades. The gap between them is immense. It's not just owning a home, all asset prices are up, leading young people to feel completely priced out. And when people say, but you have hygiene and technology, you're better off than a king 2,000 years ago, they miss the point. Human well-being is about relative social standing, about being able to form a family, own a home in your community. When those basic benchmarks become unattainable, despite material comforts, the psychological impact is profound. It's why I believe younger generations are facing unique challenges, perhaps harder than their parents.
It's a huge source of intergenerational tension. The ability to achieve milestones like home ownership or stable family formation directly impacts mental health and societal stability. When those pathways are blocked, people feel disenfranchised, leading to frustration and a search for alternative systems or ideologies. This is a critical factor driving the polarization we're observing globally.
And they're right to feel disenfranchised. The money printer isn't just fueling asset prices, it's systematically transferring wealth from the future to the present, from the young to the established. It's a silent, bloodless revolution where the value of hard work is eroded, replaced by the speculative gains of those who already own capital. It creates a permanent underclass, and desperation, as Murad notes, breeds radicalism.
That desperation leads us to another of your key points, Murad: elite overproduction. Peter Turchin's theory suggests that when there are more elite-credentialed people than elite jobs, it leads to dissatisfaction and instability. How does this factor into the current landscape, especially with rising student debt?
It's a potent mix. We have record numbers of people with bachelor's degrees, assuming it'll lead to an upper middle class life, but the jobs aren't there to satisfy everyone. This creates a highly educated but frustrated cohort. Combine that with student loan debt, and you have a recipe for significant social tension. This trend, along with great power conflict, the brewing Cold War between the US and China, are top 3 issues for the next decade. Both are inflationary pressures, meaning the struggles we just discussed are likely to intensify.
Elite overproduction is a classic historical pattern. Societies that fail to integrate their educated youth into meaningful roles often face periods of intense change. The frustration isn't just economic, it's existential. People expect a return on their investment in education, and when it doesn't materialize, they question the entire system. And the great power conflict, as Murad says, isn't just about trade or AI, it's about a restructuring of global order which will have profound impacts on everyone's lives.
It's a brilliant way to engineer instability. Create a class of highly skilled yet jobless individuals burdened with debt and with nothing to lose. They become perfect agents for change or for destabilization, depending on who's pulling the strings. And the Cold War isn't just inflationary, it's a distraction. While nations posture, the real power plays are happening behind the scenes, consolidating control over resources and information. Gold skyrocketing, as Murad mentioned, shows the deep distrust, but distrust is a fertile ground for new forms of control.
Let's pivot to some of the social and cultural issues you flagged, Murad, which seem to paint an even bleaker picture. Rising social media addiction, the slopification of the internet, declining trust in institutions, demographic shifts like gerontocracy, and a significant decline in family formation and social connection. How do these societal fractures contribute to the larger dystopia or digital reset question?
They're absolutely critical. Social media addiction is addiction engineering. It makes cash flows predictable, boosting stock prices. The internet is becoming saturated with AI-generated slop, making it harder to find authentic content. Trust in institutions is plummeting. Demographically, we're seeing older generations holding disproportionate wealth and power, a gerontocracy, leading to massive tension with younger generations. The rise in single-person households, the decline in marriage, fertility rates, even sexual activity among young people. Society is becoming more isolated, desperate, and frankly degenerate in some aspects. exemplified by the rise of hyper-gambling and risk-seeking behaviors. All these are symptoms of profound societal stress.
These are not isolated issues, they feed into each other. The loneliness epidemic, for instance, is exacerbated by technology that promises connection but often delivers isolation. When people feel disconnected, they're more vulnerable to extreme ideologies, whether far left or far right, as Murad noted about Zoomers. The decline in family formation isn't just about individual choice, it reflects economic insecurity and a loss of faith in the future. It's a crisis of meaning and belonging.
A crisis of meaning, it's a calculated breakdown of community. When traditional bonds, family, church, local friendships weaken, people become atomized, easier to control, easier to funnel into virtual echo chambers and manufactured conflicts. The slopification of the internet isn't just bad content, it's a deliberate dumbing down, an obscuring of truth. The rise of loneliness and mental health issues is a direct consequence of this engineered isolation. It's the perfect environment for a more subtle form of social engineering, where the illusion of choice masks a profound lack of agency.
Murad, you concluded your framework by highlighting the rise in unhappiness and mental health issues, especially among young people. It feels like all these trends converge on a single point: profound societal distress. So the big question, with everything we've discussed, are we genuinely heading into a dystopia, or is this a painful but necessary digital reset that might lead to something better?
It's certainly a challenging period. If you look at the sheer weight of these trends, economic stagnation, inequality, job displacement by AI, social fragmentation, many aspects lean towards a dystopic future for those unprepared. However, I see the digital reset as an opportunity within this chaos. Participatory investing, for example, is about taking agency, contributing to the assets you believe in. The old systems are failing, but new ones are emerging. Cryptocurrencies, decentralized systems, they offer a chance to build parallel structures, to opt out of the hyper-financialized, centralized world. It's about leveraging these digital tools not for control, but for empowerment, for building a new foundation for wealth and community.
I resonate with the digital reset idea, but with a crucial caveat: it depends on collective action. We have seen these alarming trends, and yes, they could lead to a deeply dystopic future if we remain passive. But there's also an awakening, particularly among younger generations, to the need for authentic connection, sustainable practices, and more equitable systems. The digital tools that enable slopification also enable global movements, rapid information sharing, and the formation of new kinds of communities. The reset isn't predetermined, it's being written now through our choices about how we use technology, how we demand accountability, and how we rebuild trust at local and global levels. It's a chance to reevaluate what truly matters.
A digital reset? Perhaps, but I'd argue it's a reset towards a more refined dystopia, one where the chains are digital and invisible. The participatory investing Murad speaks of, the new communities Anastasia hopes for, they can still be co-opted, surveilled, and ultimately controlled by the very forces that benefit from this systemic breakdown. When people are desperate, they'll flock to anything that promises salvation, even if it's another gilded cage. The trends of homogenization and polarization are not accidental. They create a populace that is easily divided and conquered, ripe for manipulation by a digital ruling class. I see signs of a deeper agenda here. A move towards total control, not just a bumpy road to a better future. The question isn't if there's a reset, but whose reset it will be.
Such profound and at times unsettling insights from all of you. It's clear that the path ahead is fraught with challenges, yet also potentially transformative. Whether we view these trends as an inevitable slide into dystopia or a difficult yet ultimately hopeful digital reset seems to depend heavily on our individual and collective agency and how we choose to engage with the world and each other. Murad, Anastasia, Tom, thank you for illuminating these complex issues and for sharing your frameworks for understanding this pivotal moment in history. To our listeners, we hope this discussion has given you much to ponder. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and keep questioning the paradoxes of our world. Good day.